Hello, I'm Anne Whalley and I'm talking to Brenda Marks from Portland, Oregon. Is it still Portland, Oregon?
Right outside of Portland, yes.
Right outside, and what a beautiful part of the country in the United States. And we're going to be talking about Brenda, her sewing, her passion, and we're going to find out what's up. What's up with you and what's sewing and all the things sewing, and find out more about everything you are passionate about. So welcome today, Brenda. I love chatting with you. We've met you in real life and it's just wonderful to be able to connect with you and have an interview. Now, Brenda's got her mask on and we are 1.5 metres apart, well, a little bit more than that. And Brenda, you may take your mask off and be relaxed and know that whatever germs I have and whatever germs you have will be okay because we're talking via the internet.
Great. I just have to make fun of this whole mask situation or I think I might go insane. It's so much. We're in Oregon, we're rebounding back to masks, and you'll notice maybe that my hair is quite short right now because I'm pretty sure that we're going to be having some shutdowns again. And last time my hair was so long by the time I was able to get to the salon. So last week I went in and said, short, please. So,
yeah.
right. It is great to see you, Anne. It's always great to see you. I really enjoy our visits, and it's so fun to talk with somebody about sewing who, you know, may not be a next door neighbor, but when we start talking, it sure feels like it. It's great.
I think that's, I think, you know, there's English, there's, you know, different languages, could run through them, but I think sewing is a language in itself. And when we connect with people who have that language, we're on a whole different level. And it's just the most amazing thing. And we all have different things to bring to the conversation. And I just love talking sewing because we are all so passionate about it. Tell me what it is about sewing, what part of it that gets your heart racing, what makes you driven just to keep going? What is it about the sewing part or the part of the fabric? What is it?
That is such a hard question. So I'm going to start with the basic feel of the fabric at the sewing machine, going through the needle and making something, you know, connecting two pieces of fabric and making the seam. It is so satisfying to me. And that seems really basic, but I just like making things. And it's kind of a miracle to me about how the sewing machine works and that I don't have to do it by hand. I'll just do a little segue there. One time when I was teaching, I had a student in my class who had just moved to the town. It happened to be when I was living in Dallas, Texas. And she and her family were living in a motel, and she cut out on a motel bed and hand sewed together her outfit.
Oh.
I know, and I thought, there's some dedication. I like sitting at the machine and having the machine do it. So that's really satisfying for me. I like putting on clothes that I've made and feeling really good because they fit. Between you and Marla Cazell, my sewing teacher, and you know some other helpful people, I feel like I consistently step out of the house looking like I'm put together, and that's really satisfying too. I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life wondering what my magic color is so that I don't have to wear makeup ever.
It's, look, it's one of those things that colour depends on you for the day too. You might feel like vibrant in one colour one day, but then the next day you go, oh, I'm going blue. You know, blue's going to do it today. It's such it's
Right.
transitionary. We can't ever say that one thing's going to be right forever. Do you feel that with your clothes and your sewing?
Oh, for definitely with my clothes. and you know, then what I choose to sew, because mostly I sew clothes. I made a comment on Instagram the other day with somebody who had made a sunbrella, and she had made the umbrella part, and I said, oh, home deck usually leaves me quaking in my boots. You know, I just, so when I'm sewing and happy about sewing, it's sewing garments. And so, yeah, there are things that change. I had the pleasure of being able to retire last year, which changed, yes, which changed some of my sewing, but I kind of ramped into that because I like to make things that I want to wear for a couple of years, you know? So as I was heading into retirement, I quit sewing wool dresses, for example. I used to wear a lot of wool crepe. And so I just, you know, started transitioning more so that I had things to wear in retirement too. I also have a huge passion for dyeing fabric and coloring fabric and surface embellishment. That wasn't the first thing out of my mouth right now because the last couple of projects have been duds. And you know what happens after a couple of, you go, oh, I need a break. I need to do something else. So, but that's really important to me. I love making the fabric my own, and I've been playing around with a lot of different techniques. Probably one of my most favorite projects in the last year was a dress. I moved house also. I've been here for 3 months. In the middle of the pandemic, I moved. It was crazy. But before that, my plan was to move to a street that was Hemingway Drive. And so I chose about 10 Ernest Hemingway quotes, and I wrote them over and over and over on this fabric. And it was so meditative, and it was really fun. It totally looks handmade because there were spots where the fabric pen was running out of ink, and I wanted to finish that panel, and Joann's was closed, and I was just gonna have to go with it, you know. But I really enjoy that kind of thing. Just making the one next little embellishment or something to make it look like mine. Yeah.
And it's that process too. As you're doing it, you are not thinking about everything else. You are focusing, your writing actually is quite beautiful, Brenda. So it's lovely to see that not only was it a wonderful idea, but it's lovely to see your script. The way you wrote was just perfect, and the imperfections actually make it more perfect because that's who we are.
Right.
We are not always perfect, and it's lovely to see that comes out in your fabric. And I wonder, now that I'm talking about your process and with the way you do the embellishments, that imperfectness and how it turns out as well is part of that too, the beauty of it. So I'm wondering if you keep those previous things you're not so happy with and maybe re-look at them, or what do you do?
Oh, good question. So the two things that didn't work out. One was I took a dye process out of a tray dyeing book from these two gals from England. Jane Beanie is the name that's coming to mind. But anyway, and it was a scrunching thing. So you scrunch the fabric and then you pour the dye on top, and where it's scrunched, it gets more dye, and where it's faded, it doesn't. Okay, so I had 2 trays going because I wanted enough fabric for a dress. And the trays turned out different colors. So just, yeah, that was disappointing. And then I tried color remover, and I've not really messed around with color remover much. So I removed the color, and it was even more hideous because the colors both had yellow, so a yellow component in them, and the yellow didn't come out. And then the green came out unevenly. And so yes, I will revisit that. I have a couple of ideas for projects. One is I just dye it navy blue and make something little cardigan or something. I wear navy blue cardigans all the time. And then the other idea is I bought this huge cement mixing tub. And my idea is to scrunch the fabric. It's another idea from Trey Dine. You scrunch the fabric so that there would be these vertical lines going down the fabric, and you squirt dye on them, and pardon me, and you can make it look like a water effect, like light on water. And I did that once before, but it wasn't a whole dress length. It was just for a top. And so, yeah, I have some ways, some thoughts about how to save that fabric, but it kind of was a bummer. And then I had another idea, and I was going to dye this fabric a beautiful jade, dark, deep jade green. I was going to use up some dye I had, and I dyed it, and I don't know what happened. It's just this sickly, awful color. And I don't know if the city is putting something in the water because, you know, maybe some extra chlorine or something, or I don't know what happened. Maybe the dye was really old and had lost its potency, but I was just like, okay. So I wanted to tell you about one thing because you may or may not know about it, but I found this fabric store in Calgary. Now, my French is horrible, but my friends tell me this means the bird, la so. Anyway, there's this fabric store in Canada where you can buy all of these different colors of jersey, cotton jersey, which I love to work with. And so I just ordered some fabric, and I don't have to worry about dyeing it. I'll just write on it.
Yeah. You know, the other thing you could do, like back in the day when fabric painting was the go, I was big into it and used to paint lots of things on T-shirts, you know, really got quite into it. And I've been going through my sewing room, and I found all these paints that I must have bought and never opened, which is good because we don't want them open. Once they're open, they go, you know. So I was thinking, you know, maybe for those pieces of fabric that you've worked with, you could, without fear, get a paintbrush, get some fabric paint, or even just any kind of an acrylic, and add the fabric component, which is just a liquid you mix in together to make it stay on that. Well, you know, you could splash some, you know, little sprinkles from a brush, a big brush, and make splotches. I could see that you could really let loose because you've got nothing to lose, Brenda. Nothing.
Right. So I've been collecting different ideas on the internet the last couple of days. I feel like a consumer, not a producer right now, just looking at all these ideas to try exactly what you're talking about. And I recall this one idea that one of my art friends talked about. She took this class where they took brooms and dipped them into paint and made these huge paintings. And I thought, okay, how do I secure the cloth so that I might actually be able to do something like that?
Well, let me tell you, what about a mattress base? If you had a cheap mattress base, or, you know, you can get different things on the internet, get rid of the mattress and hammer that fabric on the mattress, then you don't have to build it.
There you go. Interesting. Well, you know, this is why we talk about these things, to get all kinds of great ideas, right? Yeah, thank you.
I think this could open up a whole new creative journey that might take over your world.
Well, one of the creative journeys that's been happening, I moved into this house, and now I have a garden to care for. So that has been taking up a lot of effort. And what I'm noticing is the poor plants, because they are at my mercy. And just for example, the other day I decided those gladiolas, they require a lot of work. You have to stake them. You have to, you know, not anymore. I just pulled them out, put them in the garden debris bin. And, that's really freeing. And I think that if I look at some of my fabric like that too, like you're talking about, there's no losing here. I just try something.
And then if that doesn't work, you can use that as another testing thing to try a few strokes to see what they look like. And having that accessible and, the option is there all the time, all of a sudden something that we fear becomes normal. And you've climbed the fence already. You've got no fear because you don't like whatever it is. But that constant changing depending on what the result is. I'm sure a lot of artists have had that over the years. And, they have persevered. And what looked like it wasn't much ended up being something that other people really enjoyed because they could see the layers. And I think life's a bit like that, isn't it? We have our layers of experiences that look like this is the worst dead-end street we've ever gone down. And the next thing we know, it's changed and the dead-end street's actually been an access area that we never would have got to. So I'm excited about what you're doing. So thank you for sharing with us today. And I'm so thrilled to be able to find out a bit more about the things that you're getting involved with that show the results that you show us on Instagram. And I love a visual because it's easy to talk about something, but the visual is really what you're walking around in, what you're wearing, and you feeling fabulous in it because you had a very huge part in the creation of the fabric, the style that you like, and the colour that you want to wear, and the dyeing, and all those wonderful ideas. Thanks for sharing with us today, Brenda. It's been wonderful to have you in my sewing room, and the distance has not kept us apart.
No, thank you, Anne. It's great to see you.
Keep up the creativity. I'm looking forward to seeing what else you do and catching up with you in the future. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.